The fissure they fell into was narrow at first, then deep enough to lose proportion. Their beams were quickly swallowed by the dark, and though the ice ceiling above had not fully collapsed, the outside world was already sealed off. The avalanche lay across the entrance like a cauterized wound, cutting off the passage without a sound. The last trace of daylight disappeared beneath tons of snow. For a moment no one spoke. Staff Sergeant Reed knelt and checked Commissioner Harris's carotid artery. His fingers remained there briefly before he slowly shook his head, an ending that required no words. Whitaker knelt to confirm. He had already known. A fall like that left no margin. In this frozen subterranean chamber, death did not feel like an event. It felt like something quietly withdrawn. "We can't just leave him," Reed said softly. Whitaker instinctively reached for his entrenching tool, but before the blade touched the ground, Eleanor Hayes caught his wrist. "Don't disturb the surface," she said. "Not here." Whitaker followed the line of her light. Beneath the ice, deeper sediment layers were faintly visible. He remembered what had happened in the basin when they tried to dig the black beetles rising from fissures in the earth, their shells splitting as blue fire burst outward. The first engineer had not even struggled. He simply vanished in the light, and the single beetle had become three once the flames died. Whitaker slowly lowered the tool. Instead, they used broken ice and stone to build a low cairn near the cavern wall, covering Harris as best they could. In a place that did not acknowledge memorials, it was all they were able to do. Eleanor stood beside the cairn for a long time, her light resting quietly on the stones. She had remained composed through the avalanche, the fall, the pursuit. But in a sealed space, grief expands. Her breathing began to falter. Whitaker stepped to her side. He offered no comfort. He simply stood there, letting her feel that someone else was still breathing. Hours later, they redistributed ammunition. Fewer than 20 rounds per man. 2 grenades, rations nearly gone. After treating their wounds, they began moving north. The descent exceeded what instinct could tolerate. Eleanor recalibrated her altimeter again and again, her expression tightening. "We've dropped several thousand feet," she said. "If the instrument is accurate, we're far below the glacier's base." "What does that mean?" Walker asked. "It means this structure predates the glacier." As they descended, the air grew subtly warmer, not comfortable, but geologically stable. Ice gradually yielded to exposed rock, then to massive crystals embedded in black strata. The beams fractured across their surfaces. "Mica," Eleanor said quietly, "and quartz. Deep crust formation." The crystals rose in dark hexagonal columns, rare in scale, like frozen lightning thrust through stone. They moved forward, and the cavern abruptly widened. The steady rush of water echoed in the distance, suggesting an underground river. Whitaker raised his light. The beams stopped, as if caught on something solid. "What is that?" Reed asked. No one answered at once. In the center of the cavern stood a structure, 9 tiers, stepped and symmetrical. The proportions were precise to the point of severity. It was neither stone nor ice, but a gray-black material, resembling metal without luster, industrial alloy, without seams. The edges were sharp, the lines exact, as if newly machined. "Natural?" Walker asked quietly. "Absolutely not," Eleanor replied. She stepped closer, angling her light across the surface. Fine lines covered it, intersecting like circuitry. "Those aren't decorative," Whitaker said. "They look like energy channels." What unsettled them was not only its shape, but the way it altered the space around it. The cavern had seemed vast, yet once the pyramid entered view, the air felt heavier, the acoustics more distant. Even the river's echo bent around it. It felt less like architecture, and more like a dormant device. Small red points dotted its surface. At first they assumed mineral reflections. Then the points shifted. "Don't move," Whitaker said under his breath. The beam tightened. Black-shelled beetles, too many to count. Each seated inside recessed grooves, spaced with deliberate precision. "Their placement's too uniform," Eleanor said. "System deployment," Whitaker replied. "Defensive mechanism." Long trenches ran along both sides of the pyramid. One was filled with animal remains. The other held fragments of unknown metal and shattered objects. The river's sound came from behind the structure. "The exit's that way," Reed said. "Then we go under it," I answered. We moved along the base, keeping close to shadow. The distance was less than 200 meters, but under that pressure, every step stretched unnaturally long, as if the pyramid were sensing us in ways we did not yet understand. No one spoke. Breathing was restrained. Halfway across, my boot came down on something soft and resilient. It did not feel like stone. It felt like warm muscle. The ground shifted slightly, and a low scraping sound rose from the dark. I angled my light downward. A massive subterranean creature lifted its head. Its body was broad and low, skin black and mottled with pale patches. Its eyes were reduced, veiled by a translucent membrane. It opened its mouth slowly, a forked tongue testing the air. "Don't shoot," Whitaker began. The rifle fired. The shot ricocheted beneath the cavern ceiling, vibration traveling through rock and across the pyramid's surface. The creature convulsed and collapsed, its tail twitching in reflex. I didn't care about the animal. I cared about the sound. In a place like this, any wave could become a signal. Silence followed, brief but heavy. Then the red lights across the pyramid extinguished simultaneously. A second later, they reappeared. Blue, not scattered, not gradual. The change spread like a wave. Light surged upward along the etched channels, tier by tier. The 9-layered structure emerged in cold luminescence, like machinery reconnecting to power. The beetles disengaged from their recesses and rose into the air, formation intact. Flames burned across their shells without heat. The air grew colder instead, chill rising from the floor. Hundreds of blue spheres pivoted in unison and began advancing toward us. Reed had already drawn both grenades, thumb hooked through the pin. I caught his wrist. "Throw one." My eyes never left the advancing blue fire. "Keep one." I paused. "I'm not getting burned to ash."